Why do we need a 4-star hotel, and who really wants it? And what is the reasoning behind the Vail admin property becoming a 4-star hotel? With skiing riding becoming so expensive, wouldn't it be nice to have a more affordable facility appeal to those of more moderate means? Those are great questions.
I think Breckenridge has always been kind of a family-friendly resort. I think I wouldn't call it blue collar if you've seen the price of burgers up at Peak 8. But, you know, we've always kind of relied on middle America, the affluent middle America, perhaps, because what it costs to get here. And personally, I don't think we need a 4-star resort. I think the 4-star resort would cannibalize the employees. Right now, the businesses we have in town can't staff their business. And when you add on another 200, 150 employees for a 4-star hotel, where are they going to live? Where are they going to park? How are they going to get here? So I never was a big fan of that. And just on the other side of it, I just don't think. Yeah, I'd like to see less people here with more money, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there are other resorts that are a little bit more glamorous, and they can have those people. I just soon have the people that we've been dealing with and servicing for all these years. And I think for me it falls with, as much as anything else, with employees. With good employees, the community can be a good host. When the employees are stretched too thin because businesses can't get good employees, then I don't think we service the guests that we have. And you know what? People come to Breckenridge, they come for the town. They come because we're a community, not just a resort. And they will continue to come, even though our skiing is probably more crowded than Vail per capita with it per acre. And though maybe our restaurants don't have the foo-foo meals, and our rooms don't come with bidets.
Do you want to follow that?
Well, I think it's important to note that we are speaking in hypotheticals because there currently isn't an application for a 4-star hotel in Breckenridge. There has been in the past. That didn't go anywhere. But if that comes back to us, I'm not against the idea of a 4-star hotel because I think Breckenridge can be diverse enough to service so many different kind of guests. And I think that there's guests that maybe wouldn't want to go to Aspen because it's a little too ritzy. Maybe they wouldn't want to go to Beaver Creek, but they would find that they would like to come to Breckenridge just because we do have that family-friendly atmosphere. We have this historic downtown. They want to be a part of that, but they also have more disposable income to put towards a nicer room. And so I would hope that Breckenridge could be welcoming to those type of guests as well. And yeah, so Jeffrey, I see where you're coming from, but you know, let's not push people out just because we think they don't want to come here.
So you see a little conflict between Elizabeth and I. And if you want to come to meetings every other Tuesday, you'll see it between me and just about everybody else too.
Let me just put a quick frame around it, and then Gary will give you his idea. That's not a council-generated idea. Private developer gets a piece of land. He's going to buy a piece of land from the ski area. They bring it to us for a development agreement because they want to do a little above and beyond what's currently allowed by code. So while it looked like it was our deal because it's Mike Dudek's deal and he was then a council member, that's not, none of us sat up here and said, let's bring in a 4-star hotel. So, Gary.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment because I think there's no question that we're going to see an application sooner rather than later regarding that particular property. It's much too valuable for Vail Resorts to just let that property sit the way it is as an admin building. Vail is in the business of getting as many people up on that hill as possible, domiciling them up there if at all possible, and having them spend their money buying snowboard and ski tickets, and spending money in their restaurants on food and beverage. And at the end of the day, they're looking for somebody to create a situation where they can end up being the manager, whether it's a 4-star hotel or a lesser star hotel or something else, or a condo hotel or whatever. I was not on council earlier this year, and this particular transaction came before council starting last November. And I took a look at it at the time, and I felt that given the pressures on our infrastructure here in town, I didn't believe that we should be incentivizing economic development, because what they were asking for was a significant upzoning in density. I've always felt that if a developer has the right, under the current development codes, to proceed on a project, by all means, let them proceed, and we should help facilitate that, because I think that's the job of the town of Breckenridge. As I've thought about it, and I guess by these conversations, I'm kind of maybe signaling something. At the time, I wrote a letter totally opposing the project, basically because I thought the infrastructure impacts were too much, and that the town was taking steps in terms of upgrading infrastructure, circulation, transportation, parking, and all those things. And I felt that we needed a little time to see whether those incremental infrastructure enhancements were helping alleviate the pressures of congestion, traffic, people circulating, blah, blah, blah. As I thought more about it, I realized that Vail's not going to have that property sit vacant. Because the application that came before council, yes, it did request an increase in upzoning. And that suggested that there could be X amount of workers, employees, in order to support a 4-star hotel and some condominium additions. At the end of the day, that site carries a certain amount of density on it right now. And at the end of the day, the way to think about it is the density really is square footage. So if somebody wanted to come in and, quite frankly, create smaller square foot units than the hotel was prepared to do, plus the additional condo units they were doing, it's conceivable that you could end up with the same amount of guests coming in, same level of parking needs, the same level of traffic going up and down Ski Hill Road, employees, a considerable amount of employees, because conceivably you could go to a lower star hotel, make the room smaller, you'll still need a ton of employees. So the only thing I'm pointing out is that site is ultimately, in my opinion, going to get developed. Question is it going to get developed as a possible 4-star if an application comes back to us this way, or something else? But at the end of the day, the impact on our infrastructure may not be that dissimilar to what the council has fought hard to date, and has really put it back to the developer, asking for how you solving parking, how you handling housing, how you doing this and how you're doing that. So I guess the only point I want to make is, don't be surprised when it comes back to a council, and I think it's possible that council may be able to see their way to get their hands around this, because we know at the end of the day something is going to happen. And if somebody comes in with a huge public benefit, that could be quite compelling. And so, I mean, that's really the point that I'm making is I think something is going to happen. The question is, at the end of the day, what might it look like? I think the impacts might be similar to what the council has already considered, and the question is, what does the town get for it at the end of the day? That was the only comments I wanted to add to that.
I'd like to,
Yeah, I didn't really add, and Jeffrey, neither one of us really touched upon the location of this. We didn't really get into it. It was more about the idea of a 4-star hotel. But, you know, if I had a magic wand, which we don't up here, but if we did, I don't know that I would put a 4-star hotel at the base of the ski area, because I don't necessarily know that that's the best thing, because now Breckenridge is having visitors come year round. So maybe we would be better served having a 4-star hotel or a flagship hotel somewhere down in town versus up on the mountain, where that just adds to the congestion. But we're doing so much improvements when it comes to walkability and getting our guests up and down Main Street, Ridge Street, etc., that I would like to showcase that off a little bit more.
you know, also I just want to kind of point out, and I don't have to remind these guys and gals, but we were in it was kind of a convoluted proposal. You know, it was being built by BGV, Grand Vacations, who just an exemplary business in our community, treat their help well, give back to the community, and do a wonderful job. It was gonna be built by them, financed by, what is it, Lionheart or something like that?
Lionheart.
And then owned by Vail and run by Rock Resorts, which is the Vail arm of their hospitality. So it's been easy for us to do business, or easier for me to do business with BGV, because I think they're just a big part of our community. They treat their health really well, and I think they put out a good product. But this was just, it was kind of a tertiary type affair that, 3 people are involved, and it was just a little bit harder to get behind it because we weren't sure what we were buying into. So down the road, if like Gary said, if something comes out that's a little bit more clear, who knows how we'll feel or how I'll feel. But that proposal, for me, just was a little confusing.
I know how you'll feel. All right, anyone else on that one?
Well, I just would
Yeah,
throw in
please.
very briefly. For me, after the first one was, after no one made a motion to support that project, Mike was, disappointed, and he had a chance then to discuss it individually with each council member. And I had a chance to really think about, because I, like Gary, know that this will come back in some form or another again. And so I was very clear about what I felt were the sticking points, and there were 3 of them. The first one was the impacts on Ski Hill Road. We had done a traffic study on Ski Hill Road to understand where it was, where it currently is right now, and it's already stressed at certain times, as you all know, traveling up and down Ski Hill Road. And we grade those roads in order to kind of keep track of where they are. And so I put down that when Mike asked me what it would take to get a yes, I said that there can be no further degradation to Ski Hill Road, and that must be a guarantee. And there's ways to do that. I mean, we could, after the project goes in, we could test that road again, and if indeed it does degrade in terms of its use and congestion, we could hold the developer accountable to bring it back to where it was, and that's important to me. That's one thing. The second thing was that it has to be net new housing for those extra employees that they're bringing in, not just displacing somebody, people by purchasing something that already exists. Our community is in need of more housing as we bring in more employees, and the developer, in my opinion, has to be responsible for a lot of probably can't provide housing for all 125 if that's how many they're doing, but it can certainly get to a higher percentage than where we were when we negotiated on the first round. And then my third requirement is that it be vetted in the community. I felt like this 4-star hotel came to us as something that was kind of, let's do it. It's a here and now sort of proposition. The time was right. The economy was good. And it felt very rushed. It felt very rushed, I think, to all of us. And so I'm happy that we are now in these kinds of discussions so that we can have a little, conversation with the community to see how we all feel about something like this going in. And I'm very anxious to continue to hear from our community as we look at possibly another round of this. So I just wanted to say that, that we all had our points to this, which kind of made that first round go away, but it's going to come back.
And Wendy makes an excellent point. This will come back. It'll come back over the course of some time. If you have a serious feeling, and not, of course, not just about this, but about anything, we're always available as your representatives to your comments. Either show up on a Tuesday and speak out, or like Carol does all the time, show up to all the meetings, or catch one of us on the street and just say, hey, look, I don't think that belongs in town. We of course have to have some grounds for denying some of these things. But your voice is, the beauty of local politics is your voice really matters. You might not be able to talk to Trump, but you can always talk to me and everybody up here. And that's the truth. I mean, local government works because people like you show up to meetings like this, or catch us on the street, or, at the rec center. And it's important. So if you don't like a 4-star hotel, let us know. If you like a 4-star hotel, let us know.